Hi everyone. I hope you all are safe and sound while hearing me out in this current pandemic situation. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Etizaz Mohsin and I am currently working as a senior security consultant. Today I am going to present my research entitled The Great Hotel Hack: Adventures in Attacking Hospitality Industry. So let's move forward. Disclaimer first. No hotels were harmed during the making of this presentation, and also please do not try this at home. Some of you might expect this to be a deep technical talk, but it is not. Still, you would see some great interesting stuff. The high-level takeaway from this presentation is that the biggest damage faced by the organization is from some simple, widespread threats. Previous research regarding the hospitality industry is done by Jeremy, and he has presented his talk at Black Hat United States. This is the roadmap for today. We will look at the motivation behind attacking hotels. We will walk through the attack surfaces, common attack vectors, who are the threat actors, and we will see the notable data breaches in the end. I will share my research with you, and at the end we will see some mitigations. Alright, if we look at the IT environment, the layered security approach is the best to defend digital assets. It involves deploying multiple security products at multiple layers of IT environment. Usually there are three categories for the point products: network security products, endpoint security products, and data security products. The network security products, for example, firewalls, IDS, IPS, these are used to stop the malicious traffic to enter or exit the network. In case of endpoint security products, we had traditional products like anti-malware solutions, but those can be bypassed easily by modern malwares. EDR is a more advanced category of endpoint security solutions. They are designed to detect anomalous activity on endpoints. But the problem with EDR systems is that it rarely takes action in real time. Analysts must then review the alert to figure out if there is really a threat present or if it's just a false alarm. And then we have the data security products. These products play an important role in protecting our system, but still we don't have the 360-degree visibility across the network. That means we don't know what is happening inside the network, and that's where the SIEM solutions are proved useful, as they provide complete visibility inside the network. But the problem is that the corporate devices are safe until they are within the network. Once they are gone from there, they are exposed to the external threats. Let's have a look at the case study published in 2018 by CrowdStrike, when one of the employees belonging to the retail sector connected his laptop to a coffee shop, and the coffee shop was already compromised. So that user was forced to download a malicious package, and when the user connected his laptop back to the corporate environment, and by the time the attack was detected, the whole corporate infrastructure was compromised. So why do threat actors attack hotels? Hotels have been proved to be a soft target for malicious actors other than coffee shop, as they have faced the largest number of breaches after the retail sector. The hotels collect sensitive and valuable data, for example credit card and personal details, that may help the attackers to get quick money. So this thing gives enough motivation to them to go after the hotels. Hotels have a big attack surface as they have large quantity of diverse endpoints. For example, the endpoint devices which are connected to the property management system, corporate networks, electronic door locks, the alarm system, the heating and ventilation systems, the IoT devices, the CCTV system, and the guest devices. For most of the time, regional hotels have access to the international chain networks. So if an attacker gets access to the regional hotel, he has access to the international server as well. In a hotel, the security responsibilities are undefined. Any employee can access any area, and just because of the lack of employee security awareness, they may fall to the attacker tricks, and that may allow them to access the hotel networks. The most critical systems are the point of sale systems. The attackers try to access them by sending spear phishing emails to the operators. The other type of attacks which the hotel network face are Wi-Fi attacks, DDoS and botnet attacks, attacks on the IoT devices which are exposed to the internet, and the attacks which targets the customer and customer devices. Among the few threat actors to the hospitality industry, one is APT28, aka Fancy Bear. The APT actors try to enter the network by sending spear phishing emails, and after that, they use the Eternal Blue exploit to reach the devices which are responsible for controlling both guest and internal Wi-Fi network. Another one is Dark Hotel APT campaign. It was active for 7 years in a number of luxurious hotels, and the victims were infected with a Trojan. In the past, there were several notable data breaches, but the most notable one was the Marriott data breach, where 500 million records of customers were stolen. Alright, disclaimer once again. I would like to tell you that I won't be sharing too much details because there are still several vulnerable instances out there, and that might help the bad guys to attack them. So back in 2018, I found a rsync port on an internet gateway device which was installed in a hotel. The rsync daemon is used for transferring backup from one system to another. In 2015, researchers from Cylance discovered that the Ant Labs in-gate devices, which are popular internet gateway devices, were running an unauthenticated rsync daemon on port 873, which allowed them to read and write to the file system of a Linux-based operating system. So my first thought was maybe this is the same device having same vulnerability. After downloading the backup directory from the system, I started to analyze the files. There were several files having sensitive information, but the most interesting one was ftp.xml file. It contained the credential for backup server. After that, I logged into the FTP account. I was shocked to see that this FTP server is used as a backup server by all other similar devices. So by just accessing a single device, one could get access to more than 170 devices. It didn't take me long to understand that this is not the same vendor. I contacted them and notified them about the vulnerability, and after some time the bug was patched. As of now, most of you will be thinking that this is it, but for me it didn't end here. Instead, it raised a question in my mind: if these devices can be exploited remotely. For that, we have to understand what is a guest Wi-Fi network and how it works. So this is how a guest Wi-Fi server looks like. It comes with a powerful CPU. Once a user connects to it via open access point, he is presented with a captive portal. As you can see, this is how a captive portal looks like. It comes with an access controller and uses Radius for provisioning and accounting. It comes with a web portal for its management, which has role-based access and that allows the management of several network utilities. So after that, I was lucky enough to get permission from one of the vendors to perform the security assessment. So by doing a quick Shodan search to find how many similar devices are exposed to the internet, and there were like more than 600 devices exposed. That means if you find a bug in this device, you will be able to access the remotely exposed devices as well. Now let's have a look at the attack surface. The device has 4 exposed ports over the internet, SSH, web ports, and the database port. My initial goal was to access the web management portal. After accessing the web management portal, I was presented with the login form. If a user has valid credentials, he can get access to the private details like the guest details, and even he can change the DHCP, DNS, WAN, LAN, syslog, SSL configurations. He can download the guest details database, the device logs, and backups. Now to access the web management portal, I had to somehow bypass the authentication mechanism. As I had access to the source code, I proceeded with a white box approach. There were a couple of directories which had thousands of PHP files, so I had to go through all of them to find something interesting. The vendor took the security of the device seriously and all of the PHP files were encoded. But still, there was some important information in the configuration files. The admin.xml file had the user credentials. So if you can somehow manage to get access to this file, you will be able to bypass the authentication by cracking the MD5 hashes. Another important file was db.xml, which contained the username and password for the database. The username and password was hard-coded and there was no way to change it. That means these credentials can be used to access any of the exposed database. And here you can see I was able to access the database. The database software allowed to read data from the device. So my thought was to read admin.xml and crack the hashes to get into the web management portal. But unfortunately, we didn't have the privileges to read it. The database had several tables which had useful information. For example, in this case, we have the firewall rules which we can manipulate. The database contains guest details, room numbers, the guest names, the arrival and departure date. Here subscribers means the guest, and we can change the internet speed for them, and even we can redirect them to some malicious website. The application was vulnerable to blind accesses, which can be used to add another user to the device so that we can access the web management portal. Another interesting table, it contains the plain credentials of the admin. So using this, we can access the web management portal. As we have seen earlier, the SSH port on the device is open. So I thought to give it a try, and let's see if we can break into the system via SSH. There were 3 valid users, root, and the other 2 had limited shells. I was able to crack the password for the users with limited shells. There were just a few set of commands available for admin users. Admin can reboot the system, power off the system, look at the IP address of the device. Another important thing to look here is that the PHP is running with the root privileges. That means, if we are able to execute anything in the context of PHP, it will be executed with the root privileges. In the configuration commands category, we can change the device IP address, the subnet, even change the default gateway. The factory command allowed to set the device to default settings. As we saw previously, the DNS command allowed us to change the DNS settings of the machine, and this led to several DNS related attacks. HTTPS downgrade, sniffing the plain credentials, fake DNS, WPAD attacks. We can capture the anti-LM hash, perform the browser autopon, evil grid, and others. The reset account allowed to change the admin user credentials for the web management portal. So by using any of the technique we just discussed, we can get access to the portal. So this is how the interface of the portal is. Through the portal, we can look at the list of active users and their details. Most of the user host names are binded to their MAC addresses. This gives an edge to an attacker to pinpoint the target in the network. Here we can look at the connected devices' IP addresses. Here we can see and change the DHCP configuration. Here we can change the DNS server, which will allow to redirect all the traffic to our rogue DNS server. We can also set the custom DNS entries. For example, I can set IP to facebook.com. We can use GYDNS service to access the device over the internet, even if in the future the IP address of the device is changed. Here we can look at the WAN configurations, the default gateway IP, and the subnets. This device allows us to perform port forwarding. We can even disable the SSL, which will allow us to intercept the traffic in clear text. The device has built-in utility to perform traffic interception. We can look at the firewall rules and we can even change them. We can download and look at different type of logs, and even we can make and download the backup of the device. Whenever a new guest arrives at the hotel, the property management system sends record to this internet gateway device, and here we can look at the records of all the guests staying in the hotel. Here we can look at the IP address of the property management system and its port, which can be used to launch an attack against it. Here are the details of the SMTP service. The device is using Office 365 for mailing purpose. As we got access to the credentials of it, we can launch further attacks using it. The device was very much secure. I found an endpoint which allowed me to upload a zip file containing a PHP file. And once that file is passed to the web server, the PHP code inside is executed. If you guys remember in the beginning, I had mentioned that PHP is running with root privileges. So now anything executed by the PHP will be executed with the root privileges. Let's have a quick look at the demo. So I just need to provide the IP address of remotely available device and it will get me the root access on it. As per Shudan, there were like more than 600 devices exposed to the internet, but there might be some other devices which were not exposed to the internet. So if someone can access them locally, they can get root access on it by performing the same steps. So here I want you guys to think for a few seconds. What damage can be caused if these devices are compromised? You guessed it right. Anything connected to the main device can be compromised. For example, the property management system, corporate network, electronic door locks, alarm system, heating and ventilation and air conditioning systems, gas devices, IoT devices, CCTV, in fact anything connected to the gateway. I will share a few mitigations for the guests. Always try to hardcode DNS on your device, whether you are using a laptop or a phone. It is very easy to do. The next step should be to disable the automatic proxy setup, as it will save you from the WPAD attacks. Always use a VPN, it will encrypt your traffic and save your data from getting leaked. Now a lot of you will say that we are using a corporate VPN and we are safe. But there is a concept of split tunneling. The corporate VPN will only encrypt data related to it and will ignore the remaining traffic. Another simple option is to turn your phone into a hotspot and bypass the network entirely. Always use two-factor authentication for all of your accounts. And most importantly, always be aware. Here are some mitigations for the hotel owners. Like any other organization, hotels can deploy best protection products, but it only takes one employee clicking on a wrong link to bypass all of these protections. Just like hotels train their staff on customer service, they should also train their staff on cybersecurity best practices and common attack vectors. Employees must be educated and alerted to cyber attack attempts. It is entire staff responsibility to keep the hotel safe both physically and virtually. Hotels must patch and update their systems from vulnerabilities as frequently as possible to remain protected. The point of sale systems are the most attackable systems, and this is where the hotels need to direct their utmost attention for patching and updates. Always avoid using default or easy to get passwords on the POS systems. Use two-factor authentication and ensure that the anti-malware solutions are installed and up to date. Segregate the point of sale system network and filter which IP addresses can reach the POS system. Hotels should ensure that all the vendors meet a compliance standard, as most of the attacks are carried out through third-party vendors. Always threat hunt inside your network. Attackers try to gain entry into the network anyway, and then they move around to find data that's valuable to them. You must monitor your network traffic to identify suspicious activity. Just like you should monitor internally, looking externally can help you identify indications that the organization might be targeted or attacked. For example, monitoring dark web forums can help you identify if any of the employee credentials are leaked so that you can lock down these accounts before a malicious actor can access them. Every hotel should have an incident response plan to speed up the mitigation process in case if there is a breach. These are the conclusions. Always stay aware while traveling and use VPN and 4G hotspot. We just saw that the biggest threats are simple and there are no signs that these attacks will slow down across any industry. So guys, with this I am wrapping up my presentation. But before that I would like to thank you all for staying with me. And if any one of you wants to get in touch with me, you can contact me on LinkedIn or Twitter, and that would be great. So take care and goodbye.
We think about IoT Village as a movement. These devices are being adopted so rapidly that security is not effectively being baked into the development and deployment of those solutions. That puts consumers at risk, that puts businesses at risk, that puts governments at risk. And what we're trying to do is to galvanize a community around solving that problem.
Every time somebody hears IoT, they immediately think, I don't want this in my house. But as time goes by, that choice of having something in your house or not is not really there.
You can walk in the village, you won't feel like you're asking a dumb question, and you'll still walk away learning something no matter what your skill level is or knowledge.
IoT Village provides an opportunity for people to experience security in a very tangible, very real way.
So what ends up happening is, I can kill Lisa right now. She's being smothered. She's flatlining, patient monitor's going nuts, she's dead. What's going on at the nurse's station? She's fine. What I'm doing right now is we are replaying recorded data of a healthy patient. So this patient monitor is something you'd see in every hospital room in America probably. The IoT Village seeks to raise awareness of IoT security. We want consumers to be able to make informed decisions, and we want manufacturers to improve their security.
So we put a lot of work into the security on the Bird 2, and we wanted to put it in front of the DEF CON community and see what people were able to do with it. We've learned stuff about our tech that we didn't previously know, and from my perspective, that's phenomenal because we have a really talented team internally, but when we can be educated by people external to the company, it's a big, big win.
We really want to show that we very much welcome the work that security researchers do, and even though we work in a world, the medical device world, that's not as accessible to the people that work in this space, we really value the input that researchers have. We want to show that we love for them to work with us on medical devices and what they can find in it.
Security is a mission-critical part of being a pioneer. And by participating in this, they're able to address some of the challenges that are introduced through innovation.
Building a contest to challenge hackers, at the world's biggest hacker conference, if these guys didn't know what they were doing, this room would be empty.
So IoT Village is awesome. Unfortunately, like a lot of hackers work in these small groups, they don't really share a lot of information because they kind of want to monetize or capitalize off of the information that they have. So being here in IoT Village gives us an opportunity to talk to a bunch of other hackers that we wouldn't normally talk to and share information and kind of like come together as one.
I think it is the best thing since sliced bread, personally. This year we're here at DEF CON helping run a hands-on lab, IoT Hacking 101. How do we get people involved with this? Because it might be intimidating, right? Walking up into a big CTF at a big conference. The idea is that we handhold them all the way through from the basics of firmware analysis right through to discovering a bug and popping a device or two.
I just connected over Netcat. There was nothing fancy, no authentication, anything like that. And this number here is your authentication token. It's a serial number on the device. That's what they're using for authentication. So what we're doing is that we're showing people how we find vulnerabilities in embedded devices. Specifically, I've been targeting NAS devices, and I've been showing how we find vulnerabilities, develop an exploit for it, and exploit it from the attacker's perspective.
IoT Village is the face of IoT security worldwide. They're probably the most preeminent brand when it comes to dealing with IoT security. We have expertise, they have expertise, and we feel that it's more than just a sponsorship, it's more of a partnership in which we share stuff with each other. The visibility that you get from all of these conferences is an amazing thing.
It's only going to get more and more relevant, and the devices are only going to get more and more prevalent. And so I think it's just a great interactive, hands-on experience for people to come and get immersed.
We know that these security challenges that are inherent within connected devices, they're not going away on their own. We're able to make these challenges come alive, to become real, to be tangible. And when we do that, we enable people to participate in being part of the solution.